Hello and welcome to Am I Being Heard? Pres- Brought to you by Ninethorn and presented by Leslie Ann Anderson. Hello, my name is Leslie Ann Anderson. I am a Texas based HR professional with nearly 30 years of experience. I am the owner and founder of Ninethorn, a corporate advisory firm. We specialize in leadership development, career coaching, and talent acquisition solutions. We help leaders build accountable, high trust workplaces grounded in clarity and execution. Okay, so today we are going to talk about why our messages are missed in the workplace. Even when intentions are good, it still happens. This is about self leadership and communication effectiveness. This is not about venting or placing blame. What you will learn today is going to help you be able to communicate better with your colleagues, with your team, and it's really going to help you understand why you feel unheard at work and what's really happening. What actually occurs during communication breakdowns, how to communicate so that your messages land the first time, and also we're going to provide you a practical framework that you can start using immediately that's going to help you be able to convey your messages without misunderstandings. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's really happening in the workplace, especially that we are seeing so much miscommunication that happens at work. Well, for one thing, people are exhausted. Mental fatigue affects how we process information. Your colleagues are not ignoring you, they're operating at a reduced capacity. This is just because of everything that's going on around us. There's just so much mental noise that's going on, and we're just getting it from all directions. I mean, everyone at this point is just mentally tired from all this happening. And then you still have to function through all of that noise. So it's definitely understanding, it's definitely understood why we are seeing some miscommunication in the workplace. Okay? Also, people are overloaded. The average professional manages competing priorities, back to back meetings, constant notifications, and which is causing everyone's attention to be fragmented just by default. I mean, we just cannot get a break. And then I know, for instance, with everyone on that we've done the training for, um, I know that some individuals in various organizations and in workplaces are working to, you know, doing the work of two individuals, just because you're short staffed and you don't have the ability to bring someone on at this time, or you have job postings where people have not responded so that you're able to get someone brought in to get them trained and everything. So there's a lot going on. Also, we have to also consider the fact that people are listening through filters. Stress, fear, pressure create mental noise. You know, for some departments, there have been layoffs. that creates anxiety. You know, everyone is stressed, everyone is concerned about, um, will a layoff affect my department? Will I be impacted? You know, that's a lot of stress to carry on. So everyone is just holding on by a thread. Now, even though there have been lots of instances where there's been miscommunication that has happened, where deadlines have been missed, um, we've had to do some cleanup with clients. It's not personal. It's just a matter of there being a breakdown where a person thought they had conveyed the information in order for it to be acted upon, and it just wasn't received the way they thought it was received. You know, it's not personal. Um, it's not one of those things where, if you've had a communication, it doesn't devalue you as an employee, as a professional. You know, it does not mean that you're ineffective in your management role. You know, communication breakdowns happen to everyone from every level. Every level, including management and senior leaders. Everyone at some point in time has had a feeling that they were not heard. But usually, this is a signal as to what is going on in the workplace and how you're communicating with each other. When your message doesn't land, it's rarely because of a lack of skill. It's usually because context was missed. It was bad timing. Someone was not paying attention. You know, these are things that lead to miscommunications. And you have to learn to take emotions out of it. You have to learn to approach a problem strategically. You know, if there is a miscommunication, remember when you're talking to your peers, when you're talking to your colleagues, when you're speaking to your staff, you always want to remain professional. Now, the real problem usually comes about to assumed clarity. Whenever there is a miscommunication, it's always about clarity. It never fails. That's just the way it ends up being. We think, as we are speaking to someone, that what we are saying, even though it makes sense to us, we assume it's making sense to the person that we're speaking with. And that's just not always the case. What we say is not always what they heard, you know. So, what you think you've done, you think you have communicated efficiently. You think you've stated your intention, you provided your context, you have given the assumptions, like, okay, so they understand that this is what they're going to do, and you think you have painted this full picture for them. And what ends up happening is the person that you are speaking with, depending on what they have going on with their day, they have heard only pieces of the message. They filtered out majority of what you said. They are thinking about all of the other things that they have to do. And this is just another item that is going on the list. Or either they miss all of the context completely, or they only receive a small part of it, right? So then what happens is there leaves a gap about what you were intending to happen and what they interpreted that they needed to happen. All right. And majority of the time, whenever you have a miscommunication, it is going to happen right here in the gap. So once you have found out or you realize there has been a miscommunication or a misunderstanding, you may feel like you need to go and repeat yourself and repeat the same message over again, right? Sometimes that's not the best policy. I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just saying sometimes, depending on if the person that you're speaking with did not receive the information the way you intended the first time, if you go back and restate it the exact same way, you're not going to do anything but reinforce more confusion. You're not clarifying the request or whatever information you're trying to convey. You're not getting that to go through because you're not being clear. So sometimes what we need to do is we need to stop, take a breather, remain professional, and then rephrase or refine our message, bullet points to ensure that who you're speaking with actually is getting all of the information that you need them to receive. And you want to remember, you want to do this professionally. You want to ensure that you're speaking to the person, not at the person. You're not talking down to the person. You know, always remember to be professional in the workplace. And then also remember, you do not need to raise your voice. You raising your voice does not make what you are saying or what you're trying to convey, it does not make it any clearer if you are raising your voice. So please keep that in mind. All right. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the three main reasons why we have uh, miscommunications in the workplace. Why are the messages missing? Like, why are we not able to get our messages to land the way we want them to? All right. One, you did not signal importance. Without a clear flag that something matters, your message blends into background noise. So you got to remember, your request is not the only item that the person you're speaking with is responsible for. They have a whole workload that they are responsible for. They have tasks, responsibilities, deadlines. So when you're talking to someone, you want to make sure that you are truly emphasizing the importance of what you need. If you don't emphasize the importance of what you need, they don't know it's important. Okay? You didn't anchor the message. Without context, the message floats away. If people don't know why something matters or how it connects to their priorities, it will not stick. If you do not tell them, hey, I need this report by 2 p.m. on Friday so that I can review it before a meeting on Monday, they are not going to know that. If you just say I need this report on Friday, they're thinking they as long as they have it to you by the end of the business day that they've done their due diligence. They've done their job. You said you wanted it by Friday, you got it on Friday. All right. And then the third reason, you assumed that you shared the same context. What's obvious to you isn't obvious to others. Assuming everyone has the same background knowledge will always result in a misalignment, a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. So, how can we prevent this from happening as we go forward? Well, we're going to use a framework going forward. We are going to use the state, contrast, anchor framework. Okay, so when you think about state, you are going to say what you need. You're going to say, this is what I need from you. This is what I'm asking. This is the request, and this is why it matters. All right. Then you also want to make sure that you are clear and you are very detailed with what you're not asking for. You want to make sure that you say, look, this is not something that is of like low priority. You know, this is important. I need this by this time so that I will have time to review it. If I don't have it by, 2 p.m. on Friday, I cannot move forward with review and preparation for a meeting on Monday. All right? And why that matters. I'm trying to close a deal. I need this information. I need those numbers. I need the projections. All right? And then the anchor, what success looks like. If you make sure that I have this, I'll be able to prepare. So this is the report needs to be done. It needs to be in my inbox by 2 p.m. All right. Now, keep in mind, in the event that there is a miscommunication, a misunderstanding, this is not necessarily a failure. This is just an opportunity for you to refine your approach with your communication style. All right. And just remember, communication is one of those items that is truly something that most people will consider to be um, important to how they move about their day. They're going to plan based on the communication that they receive. So, out of respect for anyone that you are working with, that you're talking to, that you're making a request from, please ensure that you are giving them all of the information that they need in order for them to do the job that they have to do and do it in a timely manner and do it correctly the first time. That is all about leading a project, leading a team, leading an organization. Communication is key to becoming a leader. And even if you do not have the title of leader. You are responsible for something, and if you have to make a request in order for you to do your job, you are taking on leadership of that task. So please remember, you are all leaders. So make sure that you communicate as such. All right? Now, as you move forward, the next important conversation that you have, please remember to use the state, contrast, anchor, framework in your next important conversation. You want to make sure that you are using that to ensure that you are not um, um, missing out on providing all the information that is needed. This is helping to ensure that everyone is receiving all the information exactly the way it needs to be received in order for them to act on it. And just a friendly reminder, being heard is not about being louder, it's about being clearer. Your voice matters, so make sure that it is understood. All right. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. My name is Leslie Ann Anderson. I am with Nine Thorn, and you are welcome to send me an email if you have any questions whatsoever. Thank you for joining.